What happens when light denies its own creation? Have you ever stopped to think about the abyss that forms when that which should protect and nurture decides to turn its back on those born from it? It is in this dark space between expectation and rejection that the most intense stories emerge, those that challenge our perceptions of good and evil, of heroes and villains. Have you ever experienced this, even if only symbolically? The feeling of being adrift without support, while everything around you insists that you should fit into patterns never meant for you. Stay with me until the end, because what you discover now may surprise you and change the way you view the characters we love or fear. Imagine a world that celebrates light, but fears the shadow it itself spawns. A world that takes pride in its creations, yet simultaneously rejects what they represent when they defy its rules and expectations. This is the terrain where the child of darkness begins to exist, not as a monster, born ready-made, but as someone shaped by abandonment, injustice, and the very hypocrisy that surrounds him. Every disapproving look, every hand that withdraws, every broken promise contributes to the construction of a being whose strength has yet to awaken, but whose anger and frustration already burn with a silent, almost palpable intensity. And there's something curious about this process. The darkness that emerges isn't necessarily the opposite of the light, but its response, the consequence of a hidden truth no one dared to face, what the world calls danger, it itself provoked. And it's in this paradox that the true conflict lies. A character who doesn't wish to destroy, but who has been pushed by circumstances beyond his control to become the very embodiment of collective fear. What you'll witness in the next few minutes is the journey of someone who didn't ask to be born into this world, who didn't initially seek power or revenge, but who found in his own wounds the strength to transform each scar into a weapon, each silence into a strategy. The tension that builds here isn't just narrative. It's psychological, emotional, almost physical. You'll feel the weight of each choice, the depth of each pain, and the complexity of a mind that learned too early that survival demands answers the world wasn't prepared to accept. Now take a deep breath and prepare to peer into this darkness, not only to understand what he has become, but to comprehend the signs, motives, and decisions that led him to this dangerous crossroads. What is about to awaken is not just a villain, it is the consequence of a world that rejected what it created. And in this space of tension, silence, and shattered expectations, the story begins to unfold. And as you delve into this dark universe, you may already be feeling some connection to the story, that feeling of recognizing, even indirectly, something you've experienced or observed in the world around you. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most, or what part of this reflection made you look differently at what we call light and darkness. Your participation isn't just a number or a statistic, it's what brings this space to life, what makes this channel grow and reach more people who are also seeking to understand complex, moving, and meaningful stories. And you know, if you're impacted by these narratives, a like on this video isn't just a click, it's an acknowledgement that we're building something together, that the journey is worthwhile, and that the content we deliver truly resonates with those who watch. Every comment, every like, and every subscription is a way to stay connected and ensure we can continue to bring you in-depth analysis, engaging stories, and reflections that make a difference in how we view characters, choices, and consequences. So, if you identified with the tension, the conflict, or even the idea of a world that rejects what it creates, take this moment to leave your mark here. Share your experience, your feelings, or even a thought that came to you while watching. This exchange is what makes the space come alive, and it's what allows us to move forward, exploring each layer of this fascinating story in an even more intense, real, and connected way. Before everything fell apart, there was a world that seemed perfect, where light dominated every detail, every city, every heart. At first glance, everything seemed in order, clean. Streets, smiling people, a sense of peace that touched even the most distant corners. But if you look closer, you realize this harmony was only superficial, a carefully constructed facade to hide what no one wanted to face. The rules were rigid, smiles were often mandatory, and freedom was limited by an invisible control that shaped thoughts and actions without anyone noticing. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because it is in this contrast that the seed of what would become something uncontainable emerges. The apparent peace actually hid deep fissures, silent injustices, broken promises, and a persistent feeling that the world didn't welcome those who truly needed to be heard. Every imposed decision, every order accepted without question, contributed to an environment where the light, which was supposed to protect, stifled. And it is in this space of control and apparent perfection that someone's mind would begin to mold itself in unexpected ways, learning early on. That harmony required conformity, and that rebellion, even silent, would be the first step towards something greater. The impact of this scenario wasn't limited to the physical. It permeated mindsets, dreams, and perceptions of justice. Every small choice in the world around us became a catalyst, shaping thoughts, emotions, and a deeper understanding of the hidden truth everyone ignored. What seemed safe and stable was, in reality, fertile ground for frustration, risky decisions, and inevitable transformations, setting the stage for the emergence of a force that would challenge everything the light claimed was right. Comment there. I'm on this journey too. In the heart of this seemingly perfect world, someone was born who never found his place. The Son of Darkness arrived not as a villain, but as a presence that, from the very first moment, seemed out of place, as if the universe itself had forgotten to give him a chance to belong. Can you feel this loneliness, this feeling of homelessness, of being constantly judged simply for existing? It is in this space of rejection and silence that his essence begins to reveal itself, not as innate evil, but as a response to a world that refuses to welcome those who deviate from the norm. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the story of the birth of the shadow is not just about an individual, but about the impact of an environment that decides who deserves to exist and who must be erased. Every disapproving, every gesture of dismissal, every denied opportunity acts like a hammer shaping thoughts, emotions, and a mindset that seeks survival at any cost. The journey of the child of darkness begins in the dissonance between his true essence and the unrealistic expectations of a world that prides itself on its order but ignores the wounds it causes. This rejection doesn't just breed anger or resentment, it awakens an early awareness, a heightened perception of hidden truths, of injustices others prefer not to see, and of the quiet strength that arises when no one is looking. And it is at this point that something powerful begins to emerge, a transformation that depends not on approval, but on the very need to exist in a world that refuses to accept it. Every step, every decision, every moment of isolation shapes not only his abilities, but also his perspective on justice, pain, and impact. It is the birth of a force that did not ask for recognition, but will soon learn to demand respect. Comment there. That makes sense to me. In the silence of his own world, the Son of Darkness begins to hear something no one else perceives. Subtle voices, echoes of what has been ignored, repressed, or forgotten. These are not ghosts of stories told to frighten, nor external demons. They are fragments of the reality the world has tried to erase, old pains, stifled screams, broken promises, and secrets the light pretended not to see. Each whisper carries a memory, an injustice he never asked to witness, but which has become part of his mind, shaping his perception and rekindling feelings that should have been buried. It is in this space of introspection and internal conflict that he begins to understand his own loneliness, the feeling of not belonging, and the silent impact of an environment that denied him empathy acceptance, and understanding. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because these voices don't just tell your story, they shape the mindset that will define your future decisions. With each painful memory, a transformation occurs, and the darkness, previously perceived as fear or emptiness, begins to become an ally, a silent force that listens when no one else is willing. Each reflection, each confrontation with oneself reveals hidden truths about the world and about oneself, showing that it is not evil that shapes us, but the lack of understanding and the need to survive amid rejection. It is at this point that one realizes how the son of darkness's journey is as complex as it is inevitable. He did not choose this path, but each decision, each moment of solitude, lays the foundation for a profound transformation, paving the way for something no one could have anticipated. Comment there. I'm on this journey too. The moment he decides not to bow down comes silently, almost imperceptibly, but charged with an intensity that changes everything. It's not an outburst of anger, nor a dramatic gesture. It's an internal choice that takes root in his consciousness, firm as iron. He realizes almost instinctively that he can no longer allow fear, rejection, or the expectations of others to define who he is or what he can become. It's a spark that ignites in his heart, fueled by the injustices he's witnessed, by silent betrayals, and by the simple desire to be free, to exist without chains, without limitations imposed by those who never dared challenge the status quo. Every look of disdain, every word of condemnation, every attempt to extinguish him only strengthens this inner flame, revealing that the darkness he carries is not born of malice, but of necessity, of liberation from all that has been denied, hidden, or forbidden. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic because it is precisely at this point that true transformation manifests. Rebellion ceases to be merely a reaction, an instinctive impulse, and becomes strategic intelligence, a refined mindset, an understanding that freedom is not given, it is earned. Each decision begins to carry weight, intention, and impact, not only on oneself, but on the entire environment around oneself. One learns that resisting what the world considers impossible is, paradoxically, the purest form of power, and that true strength lies not in crushing others, but in mastering one's own fear, one's own uncertainty, transforming rejection into fuel, doubt into clarity, adversity into growth. Every gesture, every movement, every thought begins to reflect this new awareness. He realizes that darkness is not meaningless chaos, it is structure, balance, an awareness that order arises from conflict, resistance, and the silent struggle that rages both outside and within himself. It is at this point that the journey ceases to be merely about survival or confrontation. It becomes about profound understanding, about invisible strategy, about transforming everything that has been denied into strength, hidden light, and opportunity. The impact of each choice reverberates silently in the background of reality, shaping not only the near future, but the very essence of who he is becoming. Comment. I'm on this journey too. The world was quick to react. What had awakened was not only unusual, it was impossible to ignore, and faced with the unknown, fear spread like wildfire. People looked on suspiciously, murmured among themselves, pointed and judged, unable to grasp the true nature of what had emerged. It became a living heresy, a presence that defied not only laws and norms, but the entire logic society had constructed to protect itself from what it could not control. Every step he took was accompanied by accusatory glances, by whispers laden with prejudice and fear, by invisible barriers erected against him. The shock to the world was not merely physical, it was psychological, social, almost spiritual. And yet, it was in this confrontation, in this imposed resistance, that strength began to emerge in a real and visceral way. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because it is precisely at this point that the complexity of power reveals itself. What is condemned, rejected, or humiliated learns to resist, to mold itself, and to become greater than it ever imagined. Every persecution, every trial, every attempt to erase its presence did not break it. On the contrary, it refined its mind, sharpened its perception, strengthened its resolve. Rebellion ceased to be merely a reaction. It became a strategy, a mindset, a tool that allowed it to navigate the invisible currents that move the world without most noticing. The shock was not merely external, it was a silent test, requiring it to understand not only the power it wielded, but the impact its choices had on everything around it, from small interactions to the invisible echoes that permeate reality. Every humiliation, every attempt to discredit him, became a catalyst for transformation. He realized that true strength isn't born from approval, but from resilience, from the ability to stick to decisions, even when the whole world insists you're wrong. And in this process, a rare kind of intelligence emerges, the ability to anticipate moves, understand hidden consequences, and act with clarity, even amid emotional chaos. What seemed like a disadvantage became an advantage, because the power born from adversity isn't fragile. It's resilient, silent, and persistent. Every obstacle presents an opportunity for growth. Every attack from the world is, in fact, a mirror that reveals inner limitations and enables us to overcome them. It is in this clash that the essence of transformation is perceived. It is not just about survival, nor about direct confrontation, but about learning to use rejection, fear, and misunderstanding as fuel. He understands that the impact of his actions does not depend on the approval of others, but on inner clarity, mastery of his own decisions, and the profound understanding that the strength that truly matters comes from the ability to resist what the world considers impossible. It is in this resistance that chaos transforms into structure, humiliation into strategy, and persecution into the revelation of power and purpose. Each moment lived in this silent confrontation with the world prepares the ground for something greater, something that has not yet been fully revealed, but is already beginning to form within him, shaping not only his abilities, but his very essence. Comment there. That makes sense. To me, amidst the chaos, he finally begins to see something that until then seemed impossible to comprehend. Light and shadow are not irreconcilable opposites, but two sides of the same coin, two forces that complement and define each other. Each explosion of power, each gesture that previously seemed merely destructive, reveals an invisible dance, a subtle balance that permeates everything around it. And it is in this moment that the inner transformation truly begins, not through brute force or revenge, but through the understanding that controlling does not mean dominating, and destroying does not mean changing. The son of darkness realizes that the chaos surrounding him, which so often seemed like an enemy or an obstacle, is actually the raw material for creating order. It is in the confusion of choices, in the unexpected consequences, in the decisions made amidst discomfort that patterns emerge, the structures that define the world in a way deeper than any external rule or law could ever reach. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because it is at this point that his journey reveals not only power, but philosophy, not just strategies, but an almost poetic understanding of the impact of each action. The darkness he carries ceases to be an isolated burden and becomes an instrument of balance. There is no malice in his heart. There is only a search to understand, to feel, to harmonize forces that most fear to face. Every movement, every choice becomes guided not just by instinct or rebellion, but by a refined mindset that knows that true strength lies not in annihilating what opposes, but in integrating what seems antagonistic. And the deeper he delves into this understanding, the clearer it becomes that the impact of his actions goes beyond the visible surface, reverberating in invisible currents that shape destinies, influence others' decisions, and reveal truths the world insists on ignoring. He realizes, with a clarity that frightens even himself, that power is not just a means of victory or domination, but a tool for profound transformation, not only of the environment, but of his own mind, of his very perception of what it means to exist amidst conflict. Every shadow he carries has a purpose. Every chaos he faces is an opportunity to shape, understand, and balance the inner and outer world. It is on this threshold between disorder and harmony that he finds his true path, understanding that balance does not mean neutrality, and that light alone would be insufficient to guide the journey. Comment: I'm on this journey too. The awakening of that forbidden power is not something that can be explained with ordinary words. It's as if every fiber of the body feels an ancient electricity coursing through its veins, a force that whispers forgotten secrets and truths the world has tried to hide. There is no manual, no guide, no preparation sufficient for the impact it has on the mind and perception. Every decision made from that moment on carries a new weight, as if the universe itself silently observes every movement. The rebellion that once seemed merely a conscious choice now becomes instinct, a natural reaction to a force that defies all logic. And most dangerous, power, being ancient, feeds not only on the physical but also on emotions, doubts, and deepest ambitions, revealing facets of the soul unknown to the individual. While the world remains oblivious, there is a silence behind the scenes of reality, a tension growing in the shadows, in the cracks between what is permitted and what has been forbidden. Each step, each gesture seems to reconfigure reality itself, stirring invisible currents that connect past, present, and future. It's a transformation that isn't limited to the body or brute force, but penetrates the mindset, the way of thinking, the strategies of every choice. The sense of control is illusory. True mastery emerges only when it is understood that power is not external, not given but awakened, and with it comes the price, silent, inevitable. There's something almost poetic about this process. What was considered dangerous, the hidden truth that was censored or forgotten, now emerges not to destroy, but to show the true impact of each action, the domino effect that ripples through the invisible world and even consciousness itself. The moment is epic because it's irreversible. Each spark of this power awakens not only abilities, but also dilemmas, ethical choices, and revelations about limits that seemed insurmountable. The journey isn't linear. It's tortuous, profound, and demands attention to detail, to the smallest reflection of each decision made. What once seemed simple is now a maze of possibilities, and each corridor holds answers and dangers at the same time. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic because it is at this point that the complexity of awakening becomes most visible. Forbidden power is not just a tool, it is a lens through which we see the hidden truth of the world, through which we understand what lies beyond the rules and what society insists on calling impossible. It is in confronting this reality that the first decisions emerge that define the course of our journey. Silent strategies, calculated movements, attitudes that affect not only the possessor, but everything around them. This is where transformation intensifies, and each step reveals more about who we truly are when confronted with something that challenges our very understanding of reality. Comment: I'm on this journey too. The price of choice is rarely evident at the moment the decision is made. It's silent, almost imperceptible, but it grows in intensity with every step you take toward rebellion. There's a stark truth to this. Every bold move, every rule-breaking move, every fight for what one believes to be right, carries with it a weight that cannot be ignored. And we're not just talking about external consequences, visible to the world, but the profound impact that settles on the mind and soul. Being the villain in the eyes of others isn't a matter of malice, but of necessity. The darkness that accompanies those who choose to walk forbidden paths arises from the responsibility of upholding decisions that the average person would never understand. It's a strategic solitude, a keen awareness that every act has a domino effect, reverberating not only in the present, but in the future, in the invisible, behind the scenes, of intertwining realities. It's fascinating to see how the mind reacts to this kind of burden. Rebellion ceases to be mere impulse and transforms into silent, calculated intelligence. Each choice becomes a decision that requires a balance of courage and prudence, ambition and perception, because the impact of a wrong move can be devastating. The pain of being misunderstood, of carrying the label of villain, arises not from malice, but from the awareness of the hidden truth that has been uncovered. There are revelations that the world is not yet ready to face, and we must take on the burden of being the bridge between this reality and what others consider acceptable. The transformation that occurs in this process is not merely physical or skill-based, it is mental, emotional, and strategic. Each step requires adaptation, resilience, and the ability to see beyond the surface, to anticipate effects that are beyond the reach of most. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because it is at this point that the complexity becomes tangible. The power to choose, to rebel, to act against what has been imposed as norm comes with a price that transcends the physical and touches the essence. The darkness that accompanies this choice is, paradoxically, also the light that reveals who we truly are when faced with dilemmas that challenge ethics, morals, and even the very perception of justice. Every decision, every strategic move carries silent but irrevocable consequences. The journey becomes less about winning or losing and more about understanding the scope of each choice, about learning to master the impact emanating from each act, about realizing that conscious rebellion requires a mindset capable of bearing not only power, but also the responsibility of possessing it. It is in this tenuous balance between strength and consciousness, between darkness and clarity, that true transformation occurs, shaping not only the destiny of the individual, but also of those close to them, directly or indirectly, in this silent dance between light and shadow. Comment there. That makes sense to me. In that instant, everything changed. The perception of reality became malleable, almost as if the world had taken a deep breath and realized that something ancient, something forbidden, had finally awakened. That force, silent and powerful, was no longer limited to the body that carried it. It reverberated in the backstage of existence, in the corners where hidden truths lurked, in reflections few dared to notice. The world, confused, witnessed the emergence of a figure that seemed like a monster to everyone. But reality was far more complex. What was being witnessed was not evil or gratuitous violence, but the awakening of a transformation that challenged everything previously known, that demanded a mindset capable of understanding invisible consequences, silent impacts, and decisions that transcended time and space. Each step, each gesture, seemed to carry a charge of energy that burned more than muscles or nerves. It burned away certainties, consumed fears, revealed limits no one had ever imagined surpassing. And in this process, the journey of awakening became deeper and at the same time, more solitary. There is no companion for those who carry something the world insists on calling wrong, forbidden. There is only the awareness that the ongoing transformation is inevitable and that the responsibility for maintaining this power, for understanding its ramifications, falls entirely on those who dared to awaken it. The legend begins here, not as a story of conquest or glory, but as a record of decisions and impacts that will shape everything that comes after. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because it is at this point that the complexity of choice reveals itself in all its magnitude. The power that has been awakened is not merely physical, it is symbolic, strategic, and psychological. It tests the mind, testing limits and revealing truths that most would never be prepared to face. Each action provokes effects that multiply silently, in echoes that run through the shadows of reality, altering perceptions, influencing events, and redefining the fine line between heroism and villainy. It is at this threshold that true transformation lies, the ability to understand the impact of each decision without being corrupted by external judgments, to navigate uncharted territories of one's own consciousness, to accept that what seemed like a curse may actually be the key to understanding and shaping the world in ways no one else could. The awakening of something that should never have been forgotten is, paradoxically, also an opportunity to reveal the hidden truth, to understand the forces that move reality, and to wisely harness the power that once only frightened. It is from this point on that the journey ceases to be solely about strength or fear and becomes about perception, strategy, and transformation. Every choice, every move carries not only immediate consequences, but the seed of a legacy that no one can erase. The story that begins is not about monsters, but about decisions, impact, and revelations that defy all understanding. Comment, I'm on this journey too. If you've made it this far, I want you to know that every word, every detail we explored together was designed to show not only what's visible, but also what happens behind the scenes of reality and the mind. If this dive resonated with you, leave a like as a small sign that the connection was made, that you absorbed every layer of this content. And if you want to record that you made it to the end, write in the comments, I'm with you until the end. It will be like leaving a mark on this journey we share, a reminder that the search to understand, transform, and explore what lies beyond the ordinary is something we do together. And you know, there's still so much more to discover. There's a video here that complements this topic, which will delve even deeper into this journey through power, choices, and the secrets that darkness holds. Click and stay with me there, because each step of this journey reveals something new, and each insight has the potential to transform not only the way we see the world, but also the way we perceive ourselves within it. The adventure doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning to unfold.